Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Guys, it has been a while. For those who don't know, my name is Rosemary, and yeah, this is a channel that gives a variety of things, family orientated stuff, travel, fashion, stuff like that. And yeah guys, today I'm here to discuss the topic of my son. For those who know, I mentioned in my previous video that I will come and talk on it when I'm in a much better space, and I feel convinced and convicted that today is the day that I should discuss him. My eldest boy, my 19-year-old boy, Ramar Hemmings. I've been struggling with him for a long while, and before I go into the whole conversation, guys, I just want to play this song for a little bit. Because I just want to be guided by what I come to you to talk about. I'd like to point out also, before I play my song, that sometimes you're in some situation and you just feel ashamed about discussing it, or you feel bound, and that's the feeling the negative energy wants you to have, to feel restricted on speaking on certain topics, especially the topics that is a little bit more scary or frowned on. And I call you guys out there to speak your truth and to speak on your topic. And this might be in regards to my son, but I'm talking about what I have experienced about him. Do you know what I mean? That's my experience. So I feel, and it's my child, so I feel that I'm in the right position to share what's been happening. So without further ado, let me just play this song, guys. You guys know how it goes with the adverts. It just want to show me up. It's not giving me a chance to skip. It's just in the background going bang bang, like I need this extra stuff, but it is what it is, guys. I came across this song and it's so perfect, because this helps to describe how I feel, you know what I mean?
I've been battered, bruised and torn. I'm still here. Some days my life, it was filled with fear. Oh, but I'm still here. So many times I had to fight just to stay in the right. I have failed so many, many, many times. Oh, but I'm still here. I had many disappointments,
But I'm still here.
There were days when I thought I would not make it. Oh, but I'm still here.
Yes, guys, I just wanted to share that little bit of a song with you guys out there. The song is called I'm Still Here. Yeah, where do I start? Where do I start? Where do I start? And I was blocked, I was blocked, and I had to go through a process before I could come before you guys and discuss this topic and to talk about it and to share what have been taking place in my life. And yeah, like I said, I felt like today was the day. I ended up sharing with my sisters about it, and I finally told my mom last night, and because I was going through stuff and I didn't really share that side of stuff with anyone. I kind of just hanging on in there, burying my head in the sand and trying my best. But before I tiptoe around, I'm just going to go straight into it. My child, Ramar, I think I'd say I've lost him from he was 11 years old and he's now 19. That's when I started having my first issues and battle with him. You know, prior to that, he's my first child, you know. And yeah, as my mom pointed out, he get the best of both me and his dad, you know, because he was well looked after. And yeah, we all thought his future was very bright. And got to the stage when he turned 11 and was just transitioned from primary to secondary school. And the first year in secondary school, everything was still gleaming, still bright. And the second year in secondary school, that would be year 8. That's when stuff start happening, going left, you know, and things that our parents wouldn't want to be. You know, you have trials with your children, but you come across some stuff. And I was new in the area. It was in Hampshire, based in Stoke, for those who know out there. Yeah, I was new in the area, so I wasn't new, because like I said, he done primary school, from like year 4. So I was there a while, but like I said, he was new to the school. And done his first year, everything was going rosy. And second year, and that's when my challenges start coming. I remember that those days I was like working, and I remember specifically once I left him with one of my nieces and went to work, and he started giving problem as if my niece can't tell him off, and if anything, he's gonna wanna do something about it. So when I came home, those stuff was relayed to him, relayed to me, and I smack him in his hands. I normally done their age at that time. Anyways, telling him, you know, I'm a single mom, I've gone out to work. We brought them up to listen when they've been told not to do something. That's what they should go by, basically, not to, you know. So I left him, and anyway, moving forward to, I want to say, a long period after that, there was no smacking, there was nothing like that going on. He just left school, decided to go to one of his friends' house to play on their games, and I'm looking, where's my child? He hasn't come home. This time I'm there with the other 2 children, because at those times I only had my first 3 children, which was Deshane, well, Ramar's oldest, Deshane and Tilly Rose. So those are 3 children I had at those times. And single mom, just trying to get on with life and do my best. Looking where he is. You know, he wasn't a stranger to come home late, but it got so late that it became a concern. And I started calling around the friends that I knew, that knew him. Nobody could tell me where he was. So the panic started setting in. I had to tell the children that was even younger that I'm going to pop out to see him, see if I could find him. First pop out, I pop out. It's like I'm going in depth in the story too far that I didn't even realize I was going to go too far in the early stages of the story. But this is where it's taking me, so I'm going to share it. Popped out the first time, went to a few houses that I knew and was directed to. He wasn't there. All of a sudden started becoming a little bit strange, because all of the friends that I think he was affiliated with, he wasn't with them. And I got another parent to kind of help me out. Anyways, by searching, someone finally say the name of a place that he could be, like the children that he could be, and kind of directed me. And when I got there, to that person's house, strange person, first time I'm going there, all I could see was police in the car in the yard, and I knew that trouble was at hand. And cut long story short, the family member called police saying that my child told them that I'm hitting him. And that was the first traumatic event. Like, all of a sudden I got police, social worker in my house, investigating what was happening and what's going on, blah, 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 blah. I had to go up to the police station. Can you imagine? Explaining myself, telling them everything I could tell them. Thank God I didn't. I just say the truth, you know. Guys, I go by some saying, the truth will set you free. Yeah? And if you have wisdom or have any wiseness, once you tell the truth, they ain't got nothing else to come around and come up on you with. But anyway, that particular time was devastating for me, and I'm just like, what's going to take place? Anyway, after they'd done their investigation and stuff, they ended up saying that, oh, it's a single mom struggling with her children, trying to do their best. Because they were there watching me like hawks, moving around in my house, looking like the other ones was going to be taken away as well. Taking them one side, talking with them by themselves, all of that palaver. Anyway, I've been through that journey. Their conclusion was he should try and listen to what I'm telling him. I shouldn't do any form of smacking, because one of the things that got me in trouble was not even the fact that I was smacking. It was because I used an implement, which was those times, I think it was a belt, like to smack. So it's like, all right, got her out of that, and but I knew really it was nothing to do with no smacking, that he went and told them that he just wanted to do what he wanted to do at the time and go to people's house, see new technology, glistening game console. I mean, not to deflect from the fact that in the UK, they don't allow you to hit your children, especially when you're doing it with implements. You understand? Let me not going back to where all this hitting stuff is coming from. But they make their rule, they change it, and they make it, and so forth, as to who is following. But anyway, like I said, in that particular situation, once they investigated and found out, they just think, oh, it's a struggling single mom, and blah, 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 blah. I had to be going through meetings after meetings. Was like the most traumatic time in my life. The only person that supported me in those times and stick with me and could be a representation of me was the head teacher on his primary school, because they see how I take them to school, they see how I treat them, and they know that our children, they're just guided by the wind, basically, and they're allowed to do what they're going to do, and they're the parents with their family members at those times. But she was the only one that knew me. She was the only one that everybody else that came wanted to put the nail in. So I'll never forget that woman, because the position she was in, she could have easily be fickled. But when you have your people, you have your people, because God will send you people. She was the only person on this meeting panel that I used to go to that was getting a phone call through. So like I said, that's where my problem came. When they said that he should stay at home because they don't see no need to remove him, or and any other children, they took me through some process where I was on watch basically for a while, and these meetings that I'm telling you that I used to go to. But all them times I'm just feeling devastated and thinking, if I was hitting him or smacking him or whatever the case may be, and he run off in those particular season and go and say to somebody, it would make sense. But months had gone by, time has gone by. Just because you want to stay and with other people that you see in their uniform sitting the whole night playing on games and stuff, and it's fine for the little 5 seconds that you go into a yard and see all of that, and whatever they have, you think you can go fix yourself there. Like I said, that's where my trouble started. After they investigated and all of that had finished with, I started getting nervous around him now, thinking all of his negative behavior is ripening. He's doing what he please. He's coming home from school however time he want to come, and I haven't got much to say. You know, that's what started after that. So to the point now, I started calling in the government and saying I can't cope with him because his behavior is not what I'm about, and I'm seeing that he's out to put me and the rest of the children in trouble, and I'm not going to allow him to make, because of him, the other two is without a mother. So I started calling them now and started getting on their case that I cannot cope with him, so they need to do something about it. And once I start doing that, that's when everything, because he's all over the place in Hampshire. So that's what I started doing and started getting on their case, because they're trying to put me as an unfit mother. So when those issues start arising and I cannot cope, I start getting on their back. Anyway, when I've signed myself off from him to say I cannot cope with him because he's out to put me in trouble and put me in jail and put me in prison. So, and the other children is being affected by the whole situation. I don't know what to do. So seeing as you guys are the law and authorities of all things to do with children, you lot fix it. And like, long story short, guys, over the years, I'm sure he has over 15 foster parents. Yeah, nobody couldn't keep a hold of him or direct him in the right path. And through those periods, sometimes he's back and forth at mines as well. And if I'm going on holiday, I remember specifically that he come with me even the last minute. My heart couldn't give me to go on that particular holiday in 2018. I had to say to Russell, step in to buy his ticket lastminute.com. And anybody that knows anything about Jamaican day holidays, you know it's nothing cheap. Yeah? And he ended up coming with us then. And every time I try with him, I see that it's just not. And when I moved, he used to come back and forth to visit me sometimes. And then I left from where I moved to and ended up in Cornwall. You know, there's middle stuff, but I'm rounding it up as best as I can. And so far, I feel like I'm not doing a bad job of it. So thank you, Jesus, because I'm seeking guidance as I'm telling you guys. Long story short, when I came to Cornwall, just before the COVID situation, that's when one of my nieces called me and said, no, before I got to that point, the social workers or whoever was responsible for him was calling me as well and telling me some situation that he's getting himself into, some nonsense, going in McDonald's, setting off firecrackers, getting in problem with police, all kind of nonsense. So I was hearing the backstory. They gave him a place because after trying the how many families that he wouldn't stick and try to make life with, seeing as I was the problem, yeah, wasn't working out. They finally gave him his place. That, he turned it into a dust house. A dust house, drugs house, whatever. I'm just saying it like it is. Anyway, so they were concerned and worried at that time. I could tell. They were on my phone every so often telling me backstories. Then in the end, my niece started coming out. And when she's saying that she looking at one of his bank card and she's seen sign of drugs, she ain't telling me nothing I never knew or anything she had known for a long time either. It's just that it's that bad. She has to say it out in words because all of these things was pussyfoot around and not mentioned out clear. Because these are the things I was trying to avoid for his destiny. But sometimes when you're trying to avoid, no matter what you do, if that's the deed, that are the cards he has dealt, that's the cards he has dealt. But when you see her come and spell it out to me plain as day, you know the shit is stink. Anyways, I started worried about him I think he had a birthday. I can't remember exactly what birthday that was. And I send him some funds through my niece, and she video called and was talking to me on the phone. And when I look into the video and see him, my son, my heart bleed. My heart bleed in the state that he got himself into. My heart bled. Them times prior to my struggles with him, I used to be one of the kindest, lovingest person going. I wouldn't be no problem. He's one of them person that you give away everything you can. I went through a phase that because I was struggling with him and he wasn't around, I was less generous with my time and anything. I just gone into looking after the children that was with me and kind of gone into that space. And it was all about, in the end, all about Russell, all about the children that I had. And I think by the time I moved to Cornwall, obviously, because I had Angelo when Angelo was born in Basingstoke, so I had Angelo by then. But to the point when I going through the process, those are the things, the struggling with him, those are the things that I could give my attention to. Nothing else. Everybody else was secondary or wherever down the line they're fighting themselves, because I just switched off. Going back to the point when I see him through the camera and see the state that he was in, and knowing from the social worker that they were about to kick him out because he turned the property that they gave him in such a state, they had to take him and take it back and probably put him into they call those places YMCA. So I thought to myself, thinking about it, this time, me myself, I'm homeless. Let's say it like it is. I'm homeless. I'm in temporary accommodation. I shouldn't be looking to take on no one. But obviously it's my child. They've cut him out my gut. It's my child. So I'm like, okay, I'm weighing up things in my head thinking, you know, I've moved. I can add him to the situation and tell them what it is. It's my child. I ain't telling them nothing that is otherwise. It's my child. He's going through stuff, and I'm thinking of taking him, but I wasn't sure what he was going to do. So I asked one of my other nieces, along with the other one that had an eye on him, to sort out that they take him down to me. And under the impression that he was going to spend some time with me, and then in my head I'm thinking, before he goes back, I'll give him some options. When he came, you know, within a week, all of how he looked was restored. He was back to his normal self. Hadn't loved seeing his brothers and sisters, and, you know, we had our chats, we sit down, we cry. I pointed out, these are the things I was trying to avoid for your life. When you were younger, you wouldn't listen. I said to him when the week was up, if you want to stay, you can stay. You know, I'm willing to give it another go to see if you can be in our lives as a family. We got a fresh start, new start. I went up to the college with him. Like, when I finished the conversation with him, he agreed to stay. So I went up to the college with him, sat down, I briefed them on topics. I said, I'm not sure he finished with his GCSEs properly and stuff like that, but he's not a dance child, because like I said, when they was in the queue of getting the best, I'm sure up until this day, and you lot know, I've got 4 children, yeah, and Angelo is my last kid, and I would say that because he's got me and his dad, you'd think he get the best, but I know my eldest boy start. He was the only child, yeah? So he get the best. And I always try to spread the best across. But I'm just saying, he's born with the best and he get the best. Anyways, when he went up to the college, because people always like him, people always take to him, people always like him, he's always getting chances, yeah? I'll point that out as well. When I went up there, sat down with him, told the lady little backstory on his life and said give him a chance because he's not done. He wanted to get into psychology. He has to do a few courses before he could get onto that course, that particular course. The lady explained that to us to say that he has to do show social care first. It's more like a woman line, but if you want to get into psychology, you can do. Because as a young child, he's always watching different programs, anything to do with science. Even when he was going to secondary school, they place him for triple science. It's not somebody that's dunce, it's somebody that's lazy. Yeah? Anyways, I hope you guys following the story so far, because I didn't even think I was going to go too deep, so deep. But when you led, when he started college, everything was fine. All of a sudden, he stopped. Funny enough, in the end, he did get his grade because of the COVID and stuff. I think the government had decided to give the children their grades. I don't know what happened, but he got his grade for that social care course. Said he don't want to go finish it and he don't want to go back into it. I said, all right then, maybe you should try something else. I directed him and said, maybe carpentry, because I'm always trying to put him for the things that he doesn't have to rough it, thinking that because he's somebody that can use his brain, he can get easier line of avenue. He always want to take the rough side. So I'm like, all right then. Because I used to think to myself, oh, he's going to... Guys, I'm going through with my camera battery. All of a sudden, I thought I was prepared, but my battery died. And I don't even know if it's not going to die again. But anyways, I don't know where I was in the video. But I know I missed out this point. At one time when he just moved down here and we were living in the temporary accommodation in Penzance. And he was going to college, start walking, carrying a knife in his bag. Which this boy should know about, but he played dumb when he wanted to play dumb. Long story short, the police stopped him and searched him and found a knife. Ended up him having to go to court. And prior to that, not knowing that it's not the first time he caught with a knife. And in the UK, they're very strict on people walking with knife because there's been so many knife crimes where people get killed by knives and stuff like that. So even though he's a wannabe, whatever, and walking around with it, it's very frowned upon. At that time, obviously, I knew he was new here and stuff like that. I had to go to the court to sit down with them, holding everything cross. The judge said to us, he can go through the door to exit to go home. Or if he goes through the next door, he's gone down for the knife that he's walking around in Penzance with, in his bag. So all of these things, I help navigate him through. Every time one trouble after the other, it's like him in trouble. At this point where I'm sitting now today, it's like they go hand in hand. And he always choose the worst type of friends, in my opinion. I ain't got nothing against people in general. And me staying out of problems and affiliating myself with people that I feel is of like-mindedness like me. Him affiliating himself with other type of people as well. I'm not saying I'm totally against it, but it's either have a mixture of friends. The line will be a bunch of people that more or less on the lines of what he's on. So you tell me now. And I'm not saying all of them is negative. Jumping forward, guys, because this is going to be a long video and I'm going to keep getting cut off. After all of those process that I tell you that I've been through, and he get to the stage where he's left college now. He's not going to college for over a year now, and because he quit the carpentry course and he's still here. He takes on job every so often. He only lasts 5 minutes. He doesn't hold one down. So he's here now. I said to him, when we're going through the process, when I had we had the family problem where my mom had to go through a lot with her situation with her leg being amputated. I sat him down. I said, Ramar, you see, you know, you have to try and do better to prepare yourself, to set yourself up to be a representative of this family. Even if I'm driving to go see mom and you sit in the car with me, sometimes we can take turns or whatever. I'm just trying to encourage him to pick up his fallow ground and take some form of responsibility and do better, because he's sitting down not doing anything throughout the days. I said, learn your driving. I'm paying for this driving out of my pocket, out of the little money I'm receiving, and he's not taking it serious. Send him for the theory. First time, okay, fair enough. You're just getting an idea of what it could be about. So if you fail that time, fine. Second time, I'm sorry you missed it. And things like that. So I'm trying to prepare and I'm trying to not flush my money away each time and stuff like that. But he's not putting his head down. Oh, don't worry about me, I'm doing my own thing. Even on my channel, I try to bring him on the channel to see if we can at least have that in common. But what he's into, he's not prepared to come on my channel, and he's telling me that basically he don't want to attach himself to me too much from what I understand of it, because of whatever he's into. Maybe it's going to rub off on us or whatever. Well, you live with us in our household, so whatever you're affiliated with, it's going to rub off on us in some ways or the other. But anything I'm trying to draw him into, that's not really what he's interested in. There's a particular time when he find himself gone out, mixing up with the wrong crowd, get himself into one piece of negativity, fighting and stuff like that. Everybody comes thinking they can take a punch on him or hit him with something. Somebody hit him with a scooter. When they see his brother, the younger one, my boy Shane, they're telling him the story, him feeling bad. They've cheered him up to go and get himself involved, to like he's sticking up for his brother. Gonna fight one of the kids that chopped the scooter on Ramar when they were all beating the crap out of him in Cornwall somewhere. And I'm oblivious to these things. I always hear when the story stinketh. That's when he catch my door. Long story short, because my younger boy got involved, one story, I shared it on my channel. You'd have to go dig it up because I shared it. My son couldn't go out for the whole of the summer because he's mixed up in that. And all of a sudden he realized he's wrong and got shaken up by it to the point where he's going out the road. I take him out there and he's with me and he's still not comfortable. Mom, it looks like that's the family. Da-da-da-da. Took a long time for him to be alright again. And the family, thanks be to God, left him alone. So he's dragging us into stuff, even though he don't want to drag us into stuff. You come down where we are, we're giving you another chance after how many chances, and you're still not doing the right thing. Where it's got really bad now, he had a girlfriend one time, we live in Hale, because I'm trying to tap in. And I think when he finished up with that girlfriend, that tipped him over the edge even more as well. This is my eldest boy. So after that relationship, he started moping around, and even when he was going through the process of that relationship, I said, you need to fix yourself, stick into college, fix yourself, because women, if you can't do anything for them, they're going to leave you, and the way you're carrying yourself, you're not going to hold her down. Well, my mother, the saying goes, dog never have 7 puppy. He came up against that because he got nothing to offer the young lady more than his body, which they think that's going to work, because some Jamaican people, I'm Jamaican man, they think that even though he's born British, his bloodline is Jamaican. So, he ain't got nothing to offer. That ain't going to last as long as Snowball. Lovely girl. When they broke up, you can see that he went through something. All of a sudden now he start taking up tarot cards. Have tarot cards in here. When you want to tell him and point out his negativity, the stuff in the Bible that I pointed out to him, things will just pop up to me and I read it to him, and all of a sudden, still not listening, still not hearing nothing I'm trying to teach him, I'm trying to tell him, I'm trying to say to him, this is not our way. We don't believe in negativity. We don't believe in all these tarot cards, whatever else you want to get yourself involved in. We don't believe into it. Mom, why do you believe in God? I said, not only did my mom pray and grow me up that way, I experienced God through my life for myself. So it's not something I'm taking from somebody else. I experienced God myself. He has taken me through so many dark times and trial and tribulation. If I didn't go and pray to him, I wouldn't be here still navigating. I don't know where I would be. I'd probably be in a loony bin, yeah, after all I've been through, God forbid, or dead and gone. I've had friends that said to me, Rose, I don't know how you're still here. Basically, mind you, their fate and my fate is two different fates. So if they think I wasn't going to be here, well, too bad for them. But I've had them say it out aloud to me. My battery's going back on exhausted, guys. I read him this in Deuteronomy 9. Deuteronomy 18 from 9. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or observer of times, or any enchantment, or a witch, or charmer, or consulters with familiar spirit, or wizard, or a necromancer. For all that these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations the Lord God doeth drive them out from before thee. I highlighted it in my Bible, I sat him down and I showed him, and many other things that I could. Guys, my camera got cut off again. I tried this time to be a bit more patient and wait for it to get a bit more charged. So I gave it half an hour this time. I think I was at the place where I was saying to you, the next step for him, like when he was like, we're living in this house, starts after he broke up from his girlfriend, go through a phase where all of a sudden he starts buying up tarot cards. When I was saying like he has birthday or he's getting some treat, and I said, oh, you can have some money if you want to buy books and read. All of a sudden it's books that I don't really know how, because I don't know what they're called, but it's books about can't tell you exactly what it's about, but the books, all I can say about the books, because I remember us going one day into, I want to say Plymouth, and the books that he bought was to do with whatever he's into, and I left him, but in my spirit I could tell that I'm thinking, why are you buying these books? I'm giving you money to buy books that I think that would be better for you, and you leading towards these other books that you want to buy, because I never really read them. All I know, it was books that I probably wouldn't choose to pick up and read. Yeah, so those are the books he started by. Then he had tarot cards in the house, tarot cards. So like I said, because of when I talk to him, how he reacts, I never done anything about him and his tarot cards. I'll just say to him, Ramara, these things can't stay in here, and I left it, or stuff, you know, you need to get rid of these stuff. And he's saying, Mom, leave me alone, and my stuff, don't touch my stuff. If you touch my stuff, blah, 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 blah. The blah, 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 blah is basically, they're going to be a problem. Anyway, so kind of backed off, because I'm like, you know, don't want to seem like I'm the one that's making problem for myself, even though I'm not comfortable with these cards and stuff in here. And always remembering that he's got a small sibling, and the other ones, they haven't got to no age yet. I'm still responsible for them, and I have to have him in our home, getting himself involved in whatever. He used to lock off the living room, come and sit here, watch his program, because when his program is going on, I always tell him, do not let Angelo come in here and see you watching your programs. So we have to lock ourselves off in the bedroom or something while he's locked in here channeling all kind of different energy that I don't want to be affiliated with in my household. In the end, I ended up buying him a telly. It was part of his money anyway. So I got him a telly in his room, and I said, don't play these things in my living room. You want to, it's your telly, your room, stuff like that. Anyway, the point I was trying to make earlier, one day Russell just came out of the blue and said to me, Rose, why are you allowing Ramar to have these things in here when you know you're not affiliated with these things? You don't like this type of stuff. Why are you allowing me to have him in here? This was in regards to his tarot card stuff. By that time, I felt ashamed because I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not comfortable with them, but yet I'm allowing him to. It's like he's waking me up to say hello. Are you just going to let him do as he please and run raggedy? Or, because when it comes to Russell, he more likely has been there for the younger ones upbringing. But when it comes to Ramar, it's always a touchy thing. He back off from having any, because Ramar behavior to him is like he wanna act as if he can wanna front up like he wanna, and I always tell Russell, leave him to me, just you know, I'll deal with his side of stuff. Because I had an incident in Basingstoke where the way he's gonna carry on, I'd rather not allow Russell to have to be getting involved or dealing with that under me having to choose whose side I'm on. So I always tell him. So from then on, that's what Russell does. So, but he pointed the fact out to me that, what, you're just going to allow these things to take place? So when he's boxed me in my face with that issue, and I'm thinking, well, I can't turn a blind eye, because some of the stuff I'll probably not say to Russell, even though we all in the know, but we don't really know, basically. So I braved up myself one day and I decided to remove the tarot cards from here and chuck it in the bin. One time he was out, and when I'm going in his room, because I remember I had to go into his room to get the tarot cards out, and I'm always doing the cross, Hail Mary, stripping off my shoes before I go into his room, because I don't know what kind of energy is in there, but I know it's energy that I don't want to be a part of. And his room, most 99.9% of the time, is always locked. Not locked, but the door is always closed. So I took my bed slippers off, make sure I'm in clothes like shorts and stuff, and I'll go in and I'll do the cross sign and get myself sturdy, and I go in there, and I remember like probably saying a little prayer in my heart and just start taking up the cards, each and every one of them, clearing out them and chucking them out in the bin. But pointed out, mind you, nervously, because I'm thinking he's gonna kick off when he come home. But I've already made up my mind that whatever gonna transpire, you know, they got to go. So from that initial thing that I can clearly speak on, that there were tarot cards, because I've known and I see people on TV with those kind of cards and stuff like that. So I'm quite aware and can speak on that. Then it leads to other stuff that I'm hearing, one and two little things like transforming of spirits and leaving body. Where they go, I don't know. But little things of that. There was occasion where he's sitting Tilly and Shane down and start telling them stuff, and I get angry and go in the room, and I said to him, look here, if you're gonna try and push what's in you into these kids, you're gonna have to leave. You can't stay here. So there's times like that when I'd really put my foot down. I said, you said you're involved in whatever you're involved into, and if you once you're going to try and spill it over to the other children, you cannot stay here. So obviously I know there's something ain't right. and whatever he's going to teach them is not what I want them to know, because I don't want him himself to know any of what he's diving down, running towards. And I've expressed that he ain't listening, but when he's trying to tell the kids, and I've warned the kids, anytime you hear him, I don't care what's going on, you make sure you come and tell me that he's trying to tell you about these stuff. Anyway, he backed off when it comes to the children. I can't remember. I think I've talked to him maybe twice or 3 times about stamping out the fact that do not let whatever you're doing pour over onto them, or else that's it. You're going to have to leave. Anyway, at night, that's when he's awake. He's nocturnal. He's on his phone. Sometimes he's on his phone on loudspeaker. They're in my house, whoever he's chatting to, and he's chatting to them. Sometimes I'm shouting at him, saying, take your friends out of my house, take your friends, because it's like they're literally sitting up in here, chatting about what they're chatting to. So I'm thinking to myself, he's growing a nation, and I don't know who's the head of this nation or what, but it's back-to-back things. There's times when my younger boy, his room is like directly next to him. There's times when I could see that he's going through stuff because he can't sleep at night because of all of the other activities that he want to carry off at night. This is Ramar, and you know, sometimes it affect Deshane 1 and 2 time at school where I had to be navigating, and in my heart I'm thinking, if I chuck Ramar out, the older brother out, because of all of his negativity and activities, he's just going to get swamped up even worse, and by the time he get back to me, I cannot help him, so I'm holding on to him. And in the same token, I'm thinking to myself, this boy could kill himself off into the room in the sense that all of these transferring, and I don't know how, like sometimes you go into the shower and I'm thinking like he's running the bath and seeing how long he can stay, all kind of experiments he's on, stuff like that. I kind of know. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Allow him to stay here and end up dying in my house because of what he want to be diving down into. So my anxiety is very high. Sometimes he's on it, sometimes he's off. He's on another thing, trying to catch the sun and trying to do his workout, and so sometimes he's in a much better space. There's even times, guys, where he take my dressing gown. Some of you guys know I normally wear like a pink dressing gown with smiley face on it. All of a sudden I see him taking it over, start walking around in it. I'm thinking to myself, at first I'm thinking, why are you wearing my dressing gown? But I know from time you start wearing it, you ain't gonna catch me back in it. That I know in my mind. And I thought to myself, instead of telling him to take it off and run him out of it, I thought if he find comfort in wearing my dressing gown, I'll leave him. Because sometimes he look like he needs protecting because he's diving down into whatever. And this is not a child you can come and say, come to the doctors or let me take you to the doctors. You don't want to go to the doctors, I can't take him to no doctors. And there's times when he's himself. So you don't know what to do, you're confused, but you know he's wasting himself away in darkness. When things has come to a head, this was when I came back from Jamaica. You could feel the energy in the house, thick as you're cutting a slice of cake. That was my first experience of feeling like, even though the energy can be negative, because I'll do so much prayer in the house and so it's not as strong, but when I came back from Jamaica, I realized that the energy was so thick I could cut it with a knife. Anyway, I went back into my prayer and I do my praying and stuff like that, and I got a bit of comfort through that. Then I ended up having to make another trip because I had to go to one of my family members' funeral. I asked him if he wanted to come just to get him out the house and to see if he's going to change him, and all this time going through all the process, I'm hoping he himself going to find his way out of what he's going down, the road he's taking. When I told him if he want to come, at first he was like, no. Then he said yes. Then I was like, all right, I'll start preparing him to come with me to go to the funeral. And everybody that watches that vlog knew what happened. He went about his business the night before, and by the morning when he's trying to come, because I'm saying I'm taking him, but I'm nervous going anywhere with my own child, because you don't know what side of him you're going to get. You take him out, next minute you know he's gone off with somebody, you have no respect of telling you what he's up to, or he's doing his own thing, or he goes off. I take him to London before, he went off about his business. You just have to pray to God he returns, basically. Stuff like that. So I'm always nervous. So me taking him, saying I'm taking him, it's a bold step. I'm nervous. But when, another thing, he would act as if he want to trap me as well, that I'm bound, I can't go nowhere, because I'll be thinking, what's going to happen when I left? I'm worried. But when he see me start being mobile, he's seen that I'm going off, whether it's coming or not. And thanks be to God, Russell used to be quite anxious when I have to leave him with the children and he's about. But he got a bit better about that and never used to complain. Anyway, so because of his behavior and his lagging behind as if he's taking me out, in the end, I left him. And in my spirit as well, it's like he's afraid to go anywhere far, because it looks like, I don't know if he thinks somebody's going to look through his soul and can pick up that something is off. I don't know. This is me playing. Anyway, those are the things I'm seeing. But and in the same token, it's like he's upset with me because I've gone and left him, you know. So the relationship is getting a bit, because you see that I ain't yielding or submissive to being down in depression because of his activities, or paying too much attention because he's made his decision, and I don't see him much fighting against it. I don't see him calling out, Mom, help me, this is going on, I've landed myself into this path, help me. Apart from me getting up, praying, and normally in my house we used to have devotion, everybody has to be present. Since he's been here, it used to happen a lot, and then it just stopped. And I feel like I can't call them to prayer, and it's only the other children is coming and he's not coming. I do it a few times, but then he's not coming. So then the next minute, you know, my other children, when I'm praying, they're not involved either. I have to be covering everybody on my own strength. And this is how he want me to be surviving. He don't think he can do anything for me to survive. The other children will be like, Mom, you alright? Mom, can I do this for you? Mom, can I get that? Mom, can I? And if they see me down, they come and figure out how him. And I'm not saying, don't want to be giving off the wrong impression. I'm not saying that child, Ramar, can be one of the kindest child ever. But when it comes to me working myself to death, he just look at me and think, I'm fine. And that side of him come from his dad. Don't want to lift a finger to say, let me help her survive. Yeah? Anyway, jumping forward, and I hope I'm not jumping forward too quickly, but jumping forward to me coming back from the funeral and feeling like something is very off and I'm going through a process, you know, because I always listen to my feelings, and I've been going days, couldn't wash, couldn't do nothing, couldn't wash myself, couldn't do nothing, barely surviving, barely keeping afloat, barely trying to get the kids. I was in a downpour, but I knew something was going on, and it's a process. I had to work my way through it. Anyway, long story short, I ended up having a shower. Then I can't tell if it was the day before that or the next day was Good Friday. And, you know, when I had my shower, I felt like a weight lifted off of me. And I started going back into my Bible and prayer. Good Friday came now. I had a good devotion in the morning. But I was still not quite myself, just dragging through the process. Then I nod off to sleep. Because sometimes I take nap to recuperate and rebuild myself. So I nod off to sleep. All I can hear in my sleep is him on loudspeaker with his people. This particular time it was some girl. yeah, it's transferring of the spirit, blah, blah, blah. All I can hear is that, and that wake me out. That wake me out my sleep like somebody just whacked me at my sleep. I jumped up and I started screaming, Ramar, Ramar, take your people about my house. I cannot believe it. On Good Friday you're here with your negativity. I'm praying in the morning now. You in your thing in the afternoon. Get your people about my house. And I'll point out the fact that when it's any day of the week, he probably don't even know the day of the week, let alone to know it's anything to do with God's day or anything. He don't know. He probably just think it's a random day. But he's deep into whatever he's doing and he's on a roll. And these people, obviously, they must give him attention that I must not give him, because I ain't giving him the wrong attention. I'm not going to be supporting none of his negativity. So his audience is very important and very valid to him. When he start chatting on his loud noise and he's going on and he's telling them what transferring of the spirit. And so I kicked off. And he started, Mom, shut up! Mom, shut up! And he starts at me as well. Anyway, it kind of fizzled out. And I came downstairs, start moving around the house, looking what's going on. Because like I said, I was in my sleep. Moving around the house now. And I think I was telling Tilly to do something, tidy the cupboard or something. And I'm downstairs. He come down there to finally pick up some dirty clothes from his room. And come down there to dump it in the laundry. He start looking at me, staring at me like he's possessed and giving me the face to scare me off. Looking at me. So I looked right at him, I said, you think I'm scared of you? You think I'm scared? I'm your mother. You think I'm scared? I'm thinking in my head, whatever has possessed you or whatever's going on with you, do you really think I'm scared? Do you really think the day I'm going to be scared is a day? I don't know what day that is at this point, but I know I ain't scared. So I looked at him and I told him, who told me to go and say that? Like a bear, an Incredible Hulk is going on now. And this boy, he's dived down so much into negativity. He ain't feeding himself. He ain't doing much to it with himself, so he's not on his best form. So all his I'm just thinking to myself. And he's carrying on. And I said, touch me. Touch me. So anytime I say that and he look and he's staring me down and I'm staring him down and looking in his eye thinking. Walk down the corridor now and he laid into my bathroom door. Laid into it like you can look through from the front all the way through into the thing. And he punched up the door until he was there sorting the cupboard out. Start screaming. Ramar, stop it! Ramar, stop it! I said, shut up, Tilly! Because all of that is just like loads and nice, and Good Friday now is going to turn into a shit fest. So I told Tilly to shut up, and I said, Tilly, be quiet. You're going to make this boy think anybody's scared of him. Nobody's scared of him. When I said that now, it stopped him now, turning back into me now, ready to charge. I said, touch me. Because I'm giving him the look to say, you touch me and that's it. We all going to see what's going to take place, because I ain't scared. This time, I wasn't thinking that, because Angelo dad was here in the house earlier. I thought he was in the living room with Angelo, but he wasn't here. Angelo ran out and came, and I said, Angelo, go back to your dad. Angelo goes, my dad is not here. He's left. So I was like, all right, go back in the living room and sit down. So Angelo came back in the room because he was saying, who done that to the door? Why has Ramar done that to the door? I said, go back in the living room and sit down. And at first, I thought to myself, I'm going to go and get my phone. And I start thinking, I don't want police in my yard or up my drive in this time either. So I start calculating, calming down and thinking wisely and rationally. And I remember one time, because I always learn from my lessons, when we first moved into this house, there was something happened, incident regarding him wanted my phone, and I wouldn't have give him, and something kicked off. And then when I tried to dial 999, he come and snatched my phone off me and pushed me, and I went flying. Yeah? And then it was Deshane had to run down the stairs and come and intervene to show him that you want to hit my mother, you ain't going to go down easy. Anyway, called the neighbor, and there was a young man there who I got introduced to, so we were chatty when I first moved in, and him, Ramar, was friendly with him, so I told him what was going on, and he said, he calmed me down and said, don't call the police, it can be resolved. And he took him, the Ramar, off, and they had a chat, and he came back and he was fine. And that was one of the first incidents. So anytime now he's acting, he want to scare us as if he's going to break up the whole place, or he's going to beat me down or something. But I know full well, and because of that experience, I thought to myself, if I'm going into any contact with you, I'm not going to go in there willy-nilly. You know what I mean? If I have to fight, I am going to fight. Do I want to be fighting with my son? Heck no. Hell no. But I mapped it out in my brain already. And poor Deshane had to come and get involved. So now he knows that if anything, Deshane ain't going to take his side. Because obviously he's seen and knowing some of what's going on in terms of his behavior and the fact that he don't want anything out of life, and he keep bringing us down, and we've been through so much through the years that Deshane know full well he don't want to go against his brother, but if he have to go against his brother because of me, he will. So when he knows that, thank God that day when he kicked off, Deshane already went out and he wasn't here, because he'd be showing up, he'd probably smash up the house even more just to make Deshane terrified. But Deshane made a very valid point to me, which I won't speak on today. Because when he's there wasting away his life in negativity, Deshane go train every day at football and eat well and look after himself. So, do the maths. Anyway, I said to myself, take it easy, Rose. After he's broken up my door and carry on. Turn around to me. Now, you deal with it. That means I should go and deal with the door situation. I kept my cool. I will hold my peace. I'm going upstairs to shower. Went off upstairs to shower. Came out the shower, went in his room for a while. And he's in there and I'm just holding my peace because I know exactly. I mapped out exactly what I'm going to do. I ain't going to be no wrangle and tangle with him, with Tilly in the house and Angela in the house, me there fighting like I'm fighting. What kind of life is that? That's not the life I want for myself. So I ain't going into it. Use a bit of sense, use a bit of wisdom, and I'm holding my cool. After he's in there for a period of time, then all of a sudden he's back on his loud noise like nothing ever happened, chatting on the phone with his friend, kiki, clock, clock, da 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 da. Then made the mistake of them inviting him out and he's going. I didn't do nothing until this time I'm going around locking up my windows and stuff and taking the key from it. Because even the fact that my houses are open, it's a good job my area is not violent. Because my doors are open sometimes at night, my windows are open, with him going off, coming back whenever he wants, locking the door, probably not locking it. My life is there's things I have to be concealing, even from Russell, having Angelo here, that is taking place with this child. Do you know what I mean? So I just start locking up the stuff and preparing in my mind. And I said to Tilly, Tilly, don't worry. I know exactly what to do. Don't worry. As soon as he dressed himself and gone out about his business, I just locked my door behind him, locked my windows that wasn't locked properly, and that was that. And I think you ain't getting back in here. Huh? 2 seconds later, I turn around, coming for his inhaler. How come bad man come for the inhaler? Yeah? And then you want to come bring all this negativity in here on me and then come in for inhaler. The video is going to cut off. I just want to say, so he didn't come back in. I see sighting of him twice because I'm going to wrap up this video. See sighting of him twice. And the last time I told him, I've washed your stuff, I packed them, get somebody to come and collect them because you're not coming in, you're not welcome back in this house and I ain't going to be dealing with you and your nonsense anymore. So then he's saying to me, instead of he to be concerned about his clothes or anything. All he's concerned about is his negative paperwork in his room and whatever he was dived down into. And I cannot speak on it fluently. But all I can tell you guys out there, you're going down in darkness and negativity, and it's not even like you're going into a different religion or whatever different. It's negative form to do with creatures and animals and all sort of stuff. Because when I was looking at him and saying, why your eczema is getting worse and worse, it's not getting better, we never had these struggles before. When I see some of the writing that I can read and understand, because he writes like a doctor, what I can understand is like he's part of some tribe, lizard, related to lizards, snakes, and it's too unfamiliarized for me to speak on. But I'm just giving you the gist of what I took. Yeah? And one person I could have talked on it and get a little bit of clarity, and I still cannot speak after. But just a little bit of clarity. And I finally told my mom, my sisters, and so guys, you can see I'm getting cut off every minute. This video wasn't gonna go without hiccups anyway. But anyways, I was saying to you guys, I've got 2 sightings of him since it's over 2 weeks now, or about 2 weeks. One, he was pushing his head through, come through the back garden looking to see if he can find a way in. When he see me washing up the dishes in the kitchen, he quickly pulled back himself and went about his business. He didn't try to engage the first time, and I just left him. And then the second time he came and knocked on the front door, and I came down because the Shane told me he was there. Came down and I told him behind the door that he's no longer welcome in the house, because I can't help him, and the way his behaviour has gotten and what he want to involve himself into, I don't want to be associated with. So he should get someone to come and collect his suitcase, because his clothes is washed and clean and there for him to collect. One thing he was interested in wasn't to do with anything about his clothes. It's to do with the stuff from his room, paperwork and stuff that he been writing up on. And I kind of brief you on the stuff that I could pick up from the paperwork. Or to do with like whoever is affiliated with is not from human form, it's animal. Those are the people that I can't go into. I can't speak on it because I am not learned in that area. But all I can see, like I said, sometimes I'm looking at him, I used to say to him, why do you look so much like a lizard? That's what I used to say to him. You know, why his skin is not improving no matter what. Even if he had period when he's here, he hasn't gone anywhere. So I can't say he's taken anything to affect his skin. He's here for months and months on end, just in his room, minding his own business. Sometimes I'm worried that he's in depression because he's not going anywhere. But I feel better in myself to say that at least he's here and I can see what he's doing. I just give him his food and whatever else I can do for him. So sometimes I know he's not gone anywhere to take anything, so why is his skin deteriorating? When I read some of the words in the book that I could understand, I see that, oh, I'm a part, thanks for accepting me in whatever, and it's affiliated with crocodiles, snakes, and that's all coming to my mind now. Oh, yeah, and the lizard. I'm always looking at him thinking, why this boy resemble? I can only tell you what I can talk on and what my eyes was telling me, because I remember distinctively a few times saying to him about that. So that's where I'm at, guys. When he came here the last time, I pointed out to him that the government is actually responsible for him, because when he's in care a period of time, government is responsible for him until he's 25, he's 19. Go, you know, if he can double down into things and have so much people behind the scenes that whatever their relationship with, if they're into, if he can drum up so many things, he can find his way and go and sit down and ask for help, which is one of the things that I would say he most struggle with, is asking for help and trying to get help, and you can't bring him out of it because he's not going to allow you. So what can I do? But that's it. I have to draw the line and put my foot down, especially when it comes to him breaking my house up, turning it into a shithole and probably laying it to me into me or my children, and they're getting involved. Or next minute, you know, I'm having social worker at my door again, sniffing around to come and take over another one of my child and bring them back to me in that state. So buried my head in sand, I'd say, and hold my prayer, because I remember all of the process through, I'm telling you, the transition leading up to even the Good Friday. Anytime I pray, I'm always asking God to cut and clear anything that doesn't belong in this house, remove it to the pits of hell. Those have been my prayers, and I've been dabbling down into my Bible a lot and trying to seek and listen and trying to find help. And I'm always praying for him, no matter what. And I'm always praying for my soul, for his soul, and hoping that God's going to take him out of whatever he's in. And I have faith that he will. But at this moment in time, and I cannot help. You know, I read this, I've been reading in Jeremiah 4, verse 3. It said, break up your folly grounds and sow not among thorns. Yeah? That's one of the parts. Break up your folly grounds and sow not against thorns. And another part from chapter 4, verse 22. For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are sottish, that's the word. And the sottish mean, when I look it up in the dictionary, thick-headed, very foolish, stupid. That's how far. Because he was referring to when they has completely gone against what he stands for and dabbled themselves down into evil. You know, so that's what it was talking about. Guys, I was going to tell you earlier as well, when I tried to tell Ross he didn't want to hear at the time, but I think over the time he kind of understood. That's why I kind of lost it in my last video, guys, because I was really stressed out and had to process before I could even come, because I wanted to share, because sometimes they put fear in you for you not to share your truth, but this is the reality, and